Right, now we'll do item 7 and 8, which is the DC policy. I've changed.
There is a more suitable. We're at every life.
So doing 8 first and then 7.
No,
No, 7
changed the tone of garden.
There's 7, 8 relies on 7.
And then it's taking side. So I think they must have been the same thing. So it's just the same process. Someone doesn't like it. It's pretty six-sized. We'll see what happens. Well, I think I'll compare it. Hopefully that has been straightforward, right? They won't. I actually think arguably it's a bit of a.
He hasn't been getting enough sleep.
Well, you don't have kids.
Even now that mine are older, still worried. It's a curse.
So
They don't tell you that in the booklet when you're thinking about it.
Jake, which bit? Take off the red t-shirt. Okay, and we'll not speed if you like. It should be cool. Yeah. It's very, very small for everything.
Separate.
For sure.
Yeah. You've just been voted out.
Keep the text just outside like that. So.
What it is.
Okay, right, welcome Dan, Alan, David, to the table and talk to us about item 7. Please.
Thank you, Mayor. Take the report as read. Just a few comments, then we'll be happy to take questions. As you know, the LGA requires that we have a policy on development contributions and review that policy every 3 years. This policy is overdue for review now. A reminder that DCs is a cost recovery tool for the growth component of projects that are already in the capital program. If we didn't charge DCs, the cost of growth infrastructure would be solely recovered through rates. Staff are comfortable with that the policy is fair, appropriate, and meets the requirements of the LGA. Ultimately, the draft policy is a return to normal in terms of the amount of the charges. The charges in the current policy are fairly low, and this is caused by the drop in the growth factor, as we've previously discussed. That primary cause has underpinned the current policy and the level of the charges in the current policy. The long-term growth projections that underpin the draft policy are more in line with the 2016 policy, which is a reflective of the city moving back towards a normal pattern of growth post-earthquakes. The draft charges reflect the council's actual cost to deliver growth infrastructure. Current developments are not paying this, which means ratepayers are subsidising growth. We therefore recommend the draft policy be adopted by the council today, and those recommendations are in front of you.
Right. Yeah, I'll let Aaron then Mel.
Jordan, could you give us a quick overview of the evidence basis in these changes, just for public knowledge? Looking to go back to the 2016 policy.
We're not looking to go back to the 2016 policy. We're looking to go back to charges that are more in line with the 2016 policy. The difference between the 2016 and the 2021 policy is primarily caused by the growth rate that was used to underpin the 2021 policy. The growth rate when we're using it in the draft policy lines better with the 2016 policy, which is why those charges are more closely aligned.
Great. And then there were arguments from a feasibility standpoint around potential of house prices going up through DCs going up inevitably. Would you be able to please, this is again for public knowledge, because they're sort of, they're not across development contributions. If you're not a developer, obviously normal households are going to wonder what's the cost to them. Would you be able to just quickly run through the pros and cons of the changes that we've actually been proposing with these DCs?
For growth, development contributions need to cover the cost of growth. If there's only really two places that you can cover these costs from, there's only two pools. It's either rates or it's development contributions. If we put it on to rates, we're just loading it on a capital cost for future generations and increasing the cost of rates. So the cost has to be paid somewhere.
Yeah. And lastly, just to be clear, the ratepayer essentially could be subsidising these infrastructure costs across time.
Yes.
Which includes future generations, as you've talked.
Yes.
Great. So on the other hand, you have the potential of house prices going up, which essentially could be a user pays model where a first home buyer or someone who buys into one of these developments actually may pay a little bit more now in terms of the house price. But again, it would offset future generational deficit.
Well, as I say, ultimately the cost of the infrastructure has to be covered from somewhere.
Yep.
It has to be paid.
That's great. No, that's cool. I'm just trying looking at the balance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, I've got a motion I'd like to put up. So we received the contribution policy report, notes the decision, agrees to the policy with the following amendments. So the first one would be the existing demand credits that expire 10 years after the previous development would be the first one. So that's in that the additional staff advice that came through.
Did you say 10?
Sorry, 10 to 20. Yeah, 10's in the policy, but up to 20. And then the pricing, I'd like to have it as the current policy with an increase of 10% on what's in there now. So as at what the current DC charges are plus 10%.
Because we can only charge by activity. So you charge by activity and catchment.
Right.
So the charges and the catchments don't align between the policies. So you can't take the 2016 charges and then add 10% because there'll be potentially certain catchments and activities that would be paying more under the 2021 policy than they would be under the 2025 policy.
Right.
So that's why the staff advice is to take the 2025 charges and then do something
And discount them.
to
Yeah.
two.
With the back. Okay, so could we get the percentages to reduce them to the 20 there or thereabouts, 20 plus a 10% increase? So if we took the 25
It would be difficult, wouldn't it? Because it's a
Yeah.
but like that you take.
so what percentage would we need to when we've got the 70, the 80 and the 90 and the or 18th and 19th pack, what percentage do we need to do to get them there or thereabouts with where they are currently?
Depends. So in infill and CBD in suburban areas are between sort of 8 and 12. And then in some greenfield, depends, but there's some greenfield areas that go up to like 36, and then out in Banks Mitchell about 68. So there's a really wide range under the 2021 policy. So that is a bit of a difficult thing to say. How do you increase them to get?
So
How do you get
what's
them to
the,
get to where you were in 2021?
so what's the resolution I would need to get something to there or thereabouts plus a 10% increase on what they are now?
So if you wanted to do a cap, that would be within discretion as governors, but you would need to decide yourselves.
I guess what I'm saying is, can we cap it to particular, you know, you take the CBD, for example, they've gone from 8 to whatever they're going up to. What's the mechanism that we can put to keep them there or thereabouts plus a 10% increase on where they are now?
You have to run some numbers, so we need a break. So why don't we carry on with questions?
Okay.
So we've got, well, we start and have a break,
Yep.
because there might be more questions that we need.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
I just have one more question. I'm just keen to tease it out. And so I'm just jumping from the advice to this paper. Was around the capital program. So I know we've talked about this at length. I guess what I'm trying to understand is it talks about here how we have the provision of growth within the capital program, and it put the program at well over 6 billion for the next 10 years. And I know there's the portion that is behind, you know, there's the historical charges, but there's the future stuff as well. I'm still trying to get my head around the deliverability of the capital program versus the capital budget. I know we got some advice on it, but I need someone to convince me that we're not overcharging for the capital program.
We'll get Paul to answer that question, if you don't mind.
So yeah, from a capital program point of view, if we just look at the primary driver of growth, that equates to about between 6 and 10% of the total program.
Yep.
So growth component is largely 6 to 10% of the program, varies a little bit each year, but on average somewhere between about 9% overall, that's somewhere between 6 and 10 each year. I mean, if you look at the carry forwards from the 2025 year we've just finished, the carry forward for the projects with primary driver growth was $1.3 million at a total of 558 million of the program. So it's a very small percentage of the total program that's actually growth related.
But so on that basis though, if you extrapolate that over the 10 years, there's still a portion of revenue we're collecting through these charges that we're not delivering.
But we have to deliver it at some point in time, because if we're going to support growth, at some point we've got to deliver it.
But we can't deliver it.
But it's not about us always, also it's the developer, because we are not going to pay for development if the developer's not ready for the work to be done.
Yep.
So it's both sides. It's not just us.
And it's probably a good pre-warning for F&P next week is because, you know, we've got a $70 million underspend this year in the capital program. I accept your point. There's a wee bit of growth, but logically to me, there is still some charge in that whole charge of DCs that we're charging that we're not delivering. Because council have said, you put on budget whatever you want for your capital program, as long as you can deliver it, we're up for paying for it. We haven't been able to deliver it.
What I'm saying is only a very small percentage of that is growth related.
2% based on last year.
Yeah.
0.2, not 0.2%.
But in a quantum, it's over $1 million that in theory we are charging
But it will
just on this year. But it won't. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just clarify though?
But on that basis,
At some point,
we could say that there's, you know, $10 million of growth every year that we're not delivering, but still charge for it, because at some point in the future, we will deliver it.
No.
No.
If it's growth related, it will be delivered.
Because it has to, because it's like making a pipe bigger so that you've got enough water flowing. So that's the
Can't
pipe.
deliver it.
Do they go through in the carry forwards usually, don't they?
Yes.
They carry forward to the next year.
So of that
Not
1.3,
quantitative, undeliverable, or 1.3 per year.
I think it's right.
so yeah, of that 1.3 that was the net carry forward from 25, we carried forward 18.4, but we bought back 17.1. it's a timing issue constantly of these projects going faster or slower depending on where the projects are at, both at a developer end and the council end. It's not just one area.
Sometimes you know there's going to be growth, but it's in 10 years' time. You still have to do it in 10 years.
By
You have to pay
definition,
for it.
that's an overcharge.
Okay.
It has to be.
No, it's not an overcharge, it's just
Like
slight.
building up a retirement fund, you're building up that fund.
Discussion, we're not anywhere at the moment. Yeah. Aaron,
So a couple of questions. First is, because it was raised with me by someone doing a property, can we charge DCs in a different way rather than an upfront charge, load the DC onto that property into their rates for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that kind of thing? Because otherwise the person buying the property is going to pay $28,000 up front, load that on their mortgage, and then be paying it, and we're not delivering on that stuff, whereas we would be getting that money over the 10 years where we might actually be delivering it.
The other thing just to note about what impact DCs have on house prices, Auckland Council did quite a lot of work on this a couple of years ago. And what they found is it doesn't necessarily impact the house price when it's sold, it impacts the price that the developer pays for the land. So that's also reflected in the
real market.
Department of Internal
But in a-
Affairs advice to the Minister for Development levies is where they'll likely see that impact is on the price that developers are paying for land that they will develop.
No, they have to pass that, and they work in a market unless they're a philanthropist developer that's giving houses away. They have to work in a market where if something goes up by $50,000, they have to charge $50,000.
The cost gets passed on.
It has to be
The house
passed on.
price has gone up way more than the cost of DCs over time. Like it's supply and
Yeah,
demand.
health and
is the
safety.
key thing. No, supply and demand and people flicking on houses.
Sarah, we're not an expert in everything.
Okay, so then the other one is, because we have to, like, on the justifiable charges, when I look at, so someone sent me through a breakdown of what we're charging out in our way. And the water supply, wastewater collection, that'll make sense, that's $5,000. But the other ones, there's $1,000 for active transport, and there's $560 for public transport, but none of that changes in the area, so why?
Public transport are based on serviceable catchments, so the transport team determine what is considered serviceable within the district. And then it's charged a district-wide catchment on the basis that everyone benefits from that infrastructure.
Right. So it's an ideological thing rather than a reality.
No, it is a reality because the costs again.
Well, no one at Water walks 2.5 kilometres to the bus stop, to be honest, and they certainly don't want a bus running through there.
It's only reality.
We just
Okay.
provide the.
Thank you for, yes,
End
Aaron.
of April. Yeah.
I'm loving this. Melanie.
It's just, there's a lot of.
So
changes.
following
Like,
up from
part of the
Sam's question, can you tell us any projects that have growth associated with them that DCs have been collected for that have never been delivered?
No, sorry.
I want to move the staff recommendation, please.
And I'll second it.
He isn't going to second it.
Aaron seconded it.
We've just moved and seconded something. Was it start with?
Well, you can just go through and amend the one. I mean, it's the same thing. So, yeah.
Because we were told to stop doing that while staff were.
It's in.
This is going to be an exciting.
Oh,
I can't wait.
that's on the next one.
Phil, some of us would like to make housing cheaper and others would like to make it unaffordable.
Some of us would like to make rates cheaper.
Yeah.
Hey, well, there's a first for everything, isn't there?
Subsidies.
Here we go.
There's a headline.
Yeah, Aaron wants higher rates.
Whatever we do, can we just show respect to staff?
No, because that one had been moved.
Yeah.
It's not up there. There's nothing up there that says moved and seconded.
Nothing in public that indicated any seconder.
If you want to put theirs first, we'll just vote it down.
Yeah, fine. It's democracy.
So we.
Because we didn't. Yeah, we didn't.
Well, yeah, it's fine if Central Ward Council is very keen to. Go for it.
Yeah,
Take-
big race
Take
paper.
the first one, we'll take now Jake's is the motion in your full shirt.
Well, I'll just amend theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah, amendments are easier.
So someone.
Okay, so at the moment, Jake is the next one, but you've done what you're doing.
Sorry.
You had your hand up for a question.
Oh, yeah, I did sort of have a question.
You sort of ruined it by doing yeah, carry on. What would you like to say?
Ask. Sorry, just to clarify, we don't have the wording yet for Sam's, once staff do the numbers, but say we discount at 30% or we take 20% again. So who is it that pays that difference?
Well, if it's not collected through development contributions, it's paid by the road.
Sarah.
Thank you. The bit that I'm struggling with is understanding the capacity within the infrastructure in Central City. So if our Central City population is woefully below where we want it to be and where we're planning it to be, and we have invested millions in the Central City infrastructure post-earthquake, but with a reasonably long 50 to 100-year design life. Help me understand then, what are the growth infrastructure projects that are required in the Central City that the developers are going to have to be paying for over the next 10 years? I mean, what's in the pipeline, excuse the pun, but what are the size of our pipes? Do we need to make them bigger? Or if we're already planning for however many in the Central City, we've already put them in. That's the piece that I can't quite get.
Agree to in the annual plan.
Okay,
What are the growth infrastructure projects within the Central City that these developers will be having to pay for?
So there are a range of projects. The catchments are not necessarily specific to the Central City because the catchments reflect how development benefits from infrastructure. So for example, with wastewater, we only have one wastewater treatment plant. So it all ends up in the same place. So capacity or infrastructure is part of a capacity puzzle. So something you do in Maryvale will impact a development capacity in Lake Linwood, for example. So in terms of the water catchments, that's why they are bigger, because we have an integrated network and demand isn't necessarily specific to a specific area. And then with our amenity infrastructure, that reflects the communities of interest, I suppose, and how communities use infrastructure. So there are projects that are specifically in the Central City, like Central City active travel or cycleways, but they are charged at a district-wide catchment on the basis that everyone benefits from them. And then we also have infrastructure that might be maybe located outside of the Central City, but the pipe runs through the Central City, and so Central City development does benefit from it. Just to the point on how we are, our goals for the Central City, that's different to how we assess all demand. So even though we have a goal of 20,000 people in the Central City, that's not actually the level of current demand. So we're at or past pre-earthquake population levels in the Central City. So any additional development that occurs in the Central City to increase the resident population, that's actual growth and puts demand on our network, and therefore appropriately is being charged at development. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tyrone, you out in somewhere, mate?
Hello, yep, just a question. So it's just about Akaroa. So just to confirm, it will the proposed policy will make it cheaper to build a house in Akaroa. I mean, it's still really expensive, but it will reduce that cost. Is that correct?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Well,
So Akaroa, the DCs in the 2021 policy is primarily driven by the wastewater treatment plant out there. And while that project is still in the policy, there has been some changes to the growth projections in Akaroa Harbour. And because they have gone up slightly, but there's very little growth out that way, the DC charges have gone down. So they've gone down from 68 to 44. It's really just a result of changes in growth projections.
So it's still frighteningly expensive, but not,
Yes.
slightly less horrendous. Thank you.
But that reflects the cost for council to deliver growth infrastructure.
Yeah, no, I get that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we've got the staff recommendations been moved and seconded. Amendment to the staff recommendation. Amendment to that motion has been moved and seconded, although we are just waiting for. So it's number 3, which I think the team are putting up first, which is about the 20 years. We're just waiting for the team to do the figures out there to identify what percentage it would be, if it was a percentage.
It's for the setting of the new charges. Yeah.
So we've got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 8 minutes, something.
That will give the team a chance to get the.
Do morning tea, which is.
Is it all going with the Rebate?
Would you like to explain the state of the play of where we are at the moment, please?
Right, so at the moment we have the motion has been moved by Melanie and seconded by Jake, which is the staff recommendations. And then we had amendment that was moved by Sam and seconded by Eric, which is amending just recommendation 3 or proposal number 3 with what's in red. So that's with the life, or do you want to speak to it, or shall I just?
Yeah, I mean,
Just read it out, it's
Yeah.
quite small.
so in essence, it's effectively moving the 10-year policy credit to the 20 years. So we heard that through the submissions was that it was initially set up, 10-year limit was in 2006 from the working group with developers, with council, with everyone. Then it worked through, it hasn't necessarily taken into account the earthquakes and the impact of that. So 20 years will allow that to happen.
Yeah, just be clear, it's not 20 years more.
No,
20 years.
no,
total.
exactly. Yeah,
So
completely.
it's 2031.
From wherever it started.
Yeah, if the development was from that date, the site was cleared or didn't exert demand from that date.
Anything from now also gets 20.
Yes.
In entirety, it's 20 years.
Yeah.
That's the key.
But
It started, it's 20
Yeah,
years.
but the thing that came through though, through the feedback was, it was only literally, this wouldn't have occurred except for the earthquake. So it doesn't really happen in other cities because the buildings tend to stay and they draw on the infrastructure. And the other one is just around, so effectively that's the first one's, the final one, it looks weird, but it's just based on, I couldn't get the previous charge plus 10% added in, so I've had to work it back from the current proposal, which is effectively saying now that will increase the central city charges by about 10%, or probably just over 10% from what they are now, to encourage that continued investment.
We can't be precise about that.
Yeah.
In a short amount of time, so that's why it's.
It's a word back.
30% is close.
Yeah.
30% of what's in the draft policy is.
Okay. So, it's been on this is on the amendment, okay?
So we are, yeah.
Sarah first, please.
Thanks. I'm just wondering, especially with that last one, do we have enough information sort of on the impact on DCs and on rates to be able to make a decision on that today? Because we've been told we can't get the advice.
We can't get the advice, we couldn't get the advice of what the 10% would be. This is close to, did we manage, we didn't manage to work out the exact amount of impact that would have on income and the impact on rates.
Yeah, but so we don't have, so do we have then enough information, because we don't know the impact on rates that would have? Do we have enough information to make a decision on that? Is it in order?
Well,
I guess the question.
The other side of it is that if we were to proceed with the increase.
Sorry, Sam, it was just a process question.
For staff as well, I believe.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
No, it was just a process.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought you were asking me.
Can you ask some other questions and we'll just consider this one?
Yeah.
We just need to know get an idea about the quantum of money we're talking about, because if we know roughly, it's a big quantum of money that we're unsure of, we would have to say we've got sufficient information to make that.
So, but then but we hadn't modelled in the report the reduction in development in the central city based off the increases in the charges either, so.
No, I've got a question then for you. Would you be all right looking at this on another occasion when we do have those facts and figures before us?
Do you mean in terms of delaying the whole paper, or?
No, we would pass the policy as it's been moved in second, but any 20-year rebate scheme could be looked at on another occasion.
But this isn't a rebate scheme, it's a policy change, which is what came through in the feedback when we went and did the consultation.
So no, you don't want to look at.
Well, the rebate scheme will be redundant if this policy change comes in, so we won't need to do the next paper.
But I don't have information on what that would look like.
Okay. The 20-year thing.
No, E.
Oh, Jake's talking about the 20 years. Yeah.
So credits are
I
not a
was looking
rebate.
at both, but yeah.
Foregone, Melanie.
So with E, that means what happens to that 70% of development contributions that then would not be paid?
Is that a question to me?
Or whoever can answer it, if anyone can answer.
The same
that'd be
question
nice.
as Sarah's,
Yeah, the same question's been answered before. If it's not
The rate
recovered by development contributions, it's recovered by rates.
Okay.
And so Sarah's asked what that rate impact is.
Understand it loud and clear.
You don't want to lose sight of is if you encourage it by having the lower DC increase, it gets someone to build something instead of it being an empty paddock or a gravel pit, for whatever word. It gets a building built there, and instead of just paying rates on a bit of shingle, you're paying rates on a five-story
And
building.
this is more than what we're charging now.
Except that we don't have any evidence, and we didn't when we, in the last term when the DC thing expired, there was no evidence to say that that actually made a difference to the development decisions. Developers came in, did that, it did because they quite like having less to pay. There was no evidence that showed that people made their decision on whether to develop or not based on it.
It would be economics 101, wouldn't it?
No, economic 101 is like, we would love to lower costs, but it wasn't the defining thing
That's
on
not
whether.
economics 101.
Sorry, I have my second
Scott,
question. This one's for Sam. So why have you chosen the central catchment as opposed to any?
Not changing anything.
Charges.
That's what the city used to be.
Like the CBD.
That's what the city.
That's the bit
policy basically does that for greenfield.
Like this, people-
Built in halls or not. We've got a goal of 20,000 and we're at 9.5 now.
101.
You're living in a little town. Okay, Tyler had the next discussion.
Yeah, just for Sammy. Do we have to have both of those, or could you have one or the other? So for example, could it be split? Would it have to be a combo? The 20 years and the QE?
20 and the Huey.
And the-
And E, you mean?
Yeah.
No, you could definitely support like A, B, C, D and then not support E.
Got you.
You know, they're only amendments to the policy, so if they don't fly, the policy will just be voted on in totality, but if they do fly, they'll just amend it into the policy to be voted on.
So in order for the greatest impact, you'd obviously
Yeah.
prefer both, but
And I guess that
it's
last
still
one,
feasible.
probably just to note, the last one does impact Riccarton Water with this one.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Tyler, Pauline?
Well, so-
Sarah.
I think it's, it could be Sam, it could be staff, so the last one, have you isolated the central catchment then?
Yes.
Right, you have.
Yep, not the whole city.
Okay.
Yep, just the
I
central
wondered
city.
if that was possible.
Yeah.
Is
yeah,
that possible when some of the DCs fly across the whole city?
To be clear, there is no central city catchment. For the water,
Start there.
for the waters, the catchments are urban. For neighbourhood parks and road network, we have smaller sub-city catchments because we recognise that those services are used more at a neighbourhood level, and central city is split between the central catchment and the east catchment, acknowledging that someone who lives sort of up near Carlton Water is unlikely to go down and use a park closer to Phillipstown. So if you think about how neighbourhood parks function, we've very much looked at where people are living, where they're most likely to use those services. We went back to what we did for the last rec review, where we said, actually, where do you go shopping? Where is your neighbourhood? So the catchments for neighbourhood parks and road network have been drawn based on that. For road network, we know that a good chunk of trips are less than 6 kilometres. So we've factored that in. And that's why those catchments look like that. For road network, if you had a strict central city catchment, it would almost insinuate that no one ever came to or left the central city and didn't use services outside of the central city. So that's how the catchments have been drawn. And you guys have had those since October. But that's how they look. So it's really, we're looking at neighbourhood parks and road network where those catchments apply.
Don't understand how you can assess fee then. Assess a cost fee, what am I missing?
So there is one catchment called Central, and that is the western part of the central city, and it extends up into Carlton Corner kind of area and up to Mirabelle as well, acknowledging that that area of the central city and those areas outside of the central city function as a neighbourhood in terms of how people would use things like partisan roads and access services in those areas.
Can I ask a follow-up question? I can jump in.
No, well, if it's, yeah, sorry, no, I'll do it in order. Sarah, please.
Thanks. I'm just wondering, we were going to make the decision on the policy itself at the same time as the annual plan, and we deferred that decision so we could look at the new consultation pieces. But E is a look at the change of policy, and I'm just wondering, Sam, why you didn't do that at the time so that we would have had more time to work out what that looked like in the kind of month since we didn't make the first decision, because this is the decision that was going to be made back in June.
So as you'll recall, hopefully the annual plan budget doesn't have an impact on DCs collected this year. So we already have a provision baked in.
Yeah.
So anything that, and I'm sure you remember in time, and as we worked through it, the view was, and we've had this in multiple briefings, any changes would be considered during the next annual plan. It would be foregone revenue in this year.
Yeah.
But my contention is that putting them up will lead to greater foregone revenue than increasing them modestly.
Agree, but I'm just saying that the reason we delayed this paper was because of the new consultation on the remissions.
Correct.
And so I'm just wondering why you didn't raise this particular point at the time, so it could have been worked on and we would have had the information to make the decision.
Why would it change?
Oh, no, just so that we'd actually have some
What's
information.
fundamentally changing today? I'm missing your
Having the
point.
information that
The information's baked in already, and there'll be foregone revenue for this year, but it doesn't have the impact that I think you're suggesting it does.
Well, the thing is, I don't know the impact. That's the point.
But that's the whole point. We've worked through, unless I've not been listening in the last 3 workshops, there's a budgeted provision for DCs this year. Any changes would be worked through in the next annual plan. There would be potential foregone revenue that we're under collecting or over collecting. My contention is that we would be under collecting because we're putting the charges up.
Andre.
Thank you. Yeah, capping the central catchment, is it capping all of the DCs in the central catchment or just the DCs where there is a central catchment? So.
So there's a table in the second advice. Is the 20.
Yes, I've got the table in front of me. So there's a central catchment for some things, road network and so on.
Yep.
But there isn't a central catchment for stormwater infrastructure, for example. That's just the same citywide. So I'm trying to figure out if this caps all of those DC charges or just the ones where there is a central catchment, if that makes sense.
So the team could probably talk to that.
I think where I will start is taking it back a step to what we were just talking about with those catchments where the central city is between those two catchments. I think if you are capping charges for those activities in those catchments, you need to realise that that cap will extend beyond the central city because there is no central city catchment. It is acknowledging that wider areas outside of the central city interact with those areas in the central city from the context of neighbourhood parks and road network.
Yeah.
So that's quite important. On the other one, I'm sure, but we might be best to off that one.
Yeah, correct. Because I'm just not 100% clear on what this does and.
Only the cabins.
You all good there? Okay.
No.
The way
I don't think anyone is.
resolution is worded as that would capture all properties in the central catchment. So that is beyond just the central city, and it doesn't include all properties in the central city, because the central city catchment or the central catchment goes through.
It's Manchester and then up to basically Carlton Corner, Mirabelle, acknowledging that those western parts of the central city identify as being in a community with those other areas, and the southeast is quite different.
And then just trying to figure out, is it capping all DC charges? Or just the ones that have a central catchment within them?
So all activities or properties in the central catchment is the way that.
All activities, yep, so all of them, stormwater.
Yes,
travel
that's
the
like
lot.
those properties, not just the central.
Gotcha, nice one, thank you very much.
Okay, Melanie?
Oh, I forgot what. It was the same question
Oh,
you
that's
just
okay.
asked. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense, basically.
Tyler?
So just to be clear, you did talk about there not being a catchment, but predominantly of benefit. For example, the central catchment could go at 30%, but the suburbs that are surrounding that catchment could also be benefiting from the development contributions. Is that what I'm hearing?
So
Anything that's connected within that.
anything that is within that central catchment, which extends beyond the 4 Abs, would benefit from that cap.
Except for the water pipes, which could be connected across catchments.
Just in the central catchment. So the thing I suppose to note with development contributions, like we've set catchment, but some projects benefit multiple catchments.
Mhm.
So that they would be still benefiting from that infrastructure, even if they were paying a slightly different development contribution charge than someone
Okay.
else who are also paying for that project.
Okay, yep. That's fine. I was just thinking now from a more equitable standpoint. We have Riccarton included, Papanui included, but the main fundamental basis for a lot of this is actually trying to fill in between the 4 Abs. From an equity standpoint, does this look like it's fair in comparison to the rest of the catchments that we see?
This decision is within your discretion.
It's not about being fair.
Good answer.
It's about incentivizing central city, I think.
Yeah.
Not the central city though. That's the problem.
Right.
I'm only trying to come at it from a commercial feasibility standpoint. The central catchment is highly feasible from Riccarton Road, even within the 4 Abs, all the way up to Cranford Street. It's pretty much prime for development.
And that was one of the things we considered when we drew the catchments as well, where are those intensification areas.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, but Yanni's next. Yanni, in cyberspace?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just it would be helpful if staff could just email around the amendments because it's hard to see them all on the screen, although we do have them up now. But just in terms of E, I'm still trying to understand like what the impact of that would be for the other areas. So if you reduce the DC's charge to 30%, so that in Appendix 1, does that mean the others go up to offset it? Or I think what the response has been so far is rates have to increase to cover that extra cost. But can we just get clarity?
So it's no.
So the impact would be on rates. So it won't affect the DCs elsewhere won't go up because of that.
Just
Right.
collect less through
So
DC.
what's the rates impact of the 70% of the central city
We can't find
catchment
that today.
not being charged?
Don't have that information today, sorry.
Okay, so how can we vote on something when we don't know the financial impact?
It's already been under discussion and we're coming back with some advice about that. It's already
Okay.
been asked.
Okay, so we are going to get some advice on that. Okay,
Yeah, we're just, we're going to have a 5-minute break after debate.
after the last
Sorry.
question, or after debate, we'll do
Or
debate.
before debate.
Do you think 5 minutes will be long enough to
Before-
get that info? It
And,
sounds like a,
deciding whether you have sufficient information to vote on
Okay.
that one or not.
Okay, so
Cool.
we've now finished. Sorry,
And
sorry, Jan.
sorry, just just under the 20-year credit expiry. I know the staff have sent us a list of buildings previously. What do you have? Sorry, I just can't locate it. But can you just give us a sense of the financial impact of changing it from 10 to 20 in terms of how many developments that would qualify for that at the moment and what the financial impact would be?
And the advice that came out, isn't it?
Yes, it's a new advice and it's taken from what we knew from the rebate schemes.
Yes, so we basically just assumed, so we know the value of expired credits in the central city. We don't know the value of expired credits throughout the district. We've set it at 40 million. Given that it's 30 million in the central city, there might be maybe 10 elsewhere, but we don't know that for certain.
It's a bit hard to hear you.
The financial implications for the
I couldn't hear that. Sorry. The financial implications of the amendment on 3.3.1 are what?
No, the projected DC revenue in our current annual plan is based on our 2021 policy. When we do annual plan 26-27, we'll use as this gets adopted, we'll use the 25 DC policy to set projected revenue. And then we'll can build in a projected loss of revenue due to providing an extension of the credits.
But if under the current policy we pass this, what is the financial impact going from 10 to 20?
So, Councillor Hanson, you'll know from the briefings you've had and the other time we discussed this, there's a lot of DC policies, projections and assumptions, so we can't give a precise dollar amount on it. So Ellen has just said that she's estimating $10 million possibly over the life of the policy.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for the
Yeah.
ballpark. Appreciate that. Yeah, cool.
Okay, so that's quick. Sorry, Celeste, didn't see you.
Just a quick one. Have we had any feedback supporting this particular option?
We had feedback on the draft policy on the life of credits and the charges. So we that's in the memo that was circulated earlier this week. What the feedback was not on the specific check cap, just on the charges more generally.
So some of the submitters, did some of the submitters speak to extending the
Submitters who said the charges were too high, so
time period?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Questions are done, so we're gonna have 5 minutes to just do whatever.
So in the 5 minutes is just going to take to just clarify if there's sufficient information to or not. So just our advice is that, or my advice is that I don't think you have a sufficient information to put in. Because while we didn't have substantial submissions about it, we didn't get this in advance, so we weren't able to provide advice overnight. And well, a lot of the DC's policy is based on assumptions. We can't even afford that at this stage. So it cannot be put today. We would need more time. The rest of them are fine. The rest of them are fine in that we had submissions, both oral and written submissions as well, and we have provided you with some additional advice on the impact. So A, B, C, and D. So it's just E that we don't think.
Cool.
Yeah, so certainly we probably can't get the financial information today. We have had feedback on the increase in the central city. So I would just, and I might need some advice from the team is around how we move referring this paper to the F&P next week to give the staff time to get information so that we can consider it ahead at next Wednesday. So I just need, I don't know if it's a procedural motion or how we do that. But we need the information.
Procedural, if whoever hasn't already moved and seconded.
First time something.
So it would be a
So anyone-
procedural motion
Impossible.
for anyone that hasn't already moved and seconded.
So only one to vote against the draft.
Yes, either Kim Mel or
So
Jake.
Phil might move to.
I think he might, yeah.
That's to defer.
So I'm clear, that just for E or the whole thing? The whole thing till,
We get to do the whole thing.
okay, till next Wednesday.
To finance and performance next year.
And then we'll have the information to make a decision on E.
The key is the information to whatever, whether you agree or not.
Ellen, can you survive another one of these?
Sorry.
It has to be the
Just need to check.
correct information, whether he wants it or not is irrelevant.
Alan, don't panic.
They said they have not.
And so
Amendments on the
So
day.
the procedural motion has to go first, does it?
Yeah, it does. No debate.
And there's no debate on it.
I just
So,
need to.
so everybody, are you all?
Is everyone clear of what Mary's saying here?
So the procedure motion is put first and there's no debate on it. So
Okay, and the
procedural
procedural motion
motion
is to,
To defer
Correct.
the DC,
F&P.
decision on the DC policy to F&P committee.
And the other paper as well.
No.
Oh.
So I think you would have to defer the rebate.
yeah, so
You're gonna rewrite your debate.
This goes through, if this passes, you don't need the rebate.
Yeah.
yeah, so
One there.
seven and 8 together are deferred till next Wednesday.
So is that your motion and Tim's second?
I've got a debate.
So we put it. All those in favour of the procedural motion by Timothy and
Vision.
Or the good decision when it's made.
you're trying line.
So we put 7,
It's really good.
7 and 8. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Is it,
Go. Expiring.
So-
It's actually getting emotion.
So just to be clear, sorry, Sam, is you have sufficient information to move everything else if you wanted to, you just don't have E. So this is about if you want to consider E, you would need to defer.
do we need a 75% majority?
It can't be put, you only want to delay if you're keen on E. You're keen on E, you delay.
Yeah.
That's right.
You don't want to hand out.
Well, are we debating it now? Because if we're just waiting. for
Debate.
We need data, Jay.
the information.
It's just chucking it into next Wednesday's meeting. We're going to move and send it. Are we doing division?
There we are, someone's
Got 27 eyes.
Well, we'll take,
someone's asked for it.
someone's asked.
Yeah.
And Sam.
It'll be the same result next week.
Chair allowed to vote at discretion.
So to defer the item.
So this is both items.
This is items 7 and 8, so the policy and the rebate scheme. Councillor Peters,
Yes.
Councillor Fields,
No,
Councillor Harrison Hunt,
Yes.
Councillor Coker.
No.
Councillor Donovan, Deputy Mayor Cotter. Councillor Henstock,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Goff is absent, Councillor Johansson,
No.
Councillor Kewen,
Yes.
Councillor MacDonald,
Yes.
Councillor Barber,
Yes.
Councillor McLennan.
No.
Councillor Scandrett,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Councillor Templeton.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
That was a
10,
help.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
I was looking at you, the same notes.
Thank you very much. That's carried. See you next Wednesday.
Are we doing the clothing character now or?
After I see.
Oh,
Don't bring the meeting forward by day.
We'll put it back by a date.